and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red.
Alzat, Sonnerson, Itzik are the 3 riders at the front of the Category 4 race at the moment. Arias is there as well as Lopez. And it's looking like we've got 6 riders now pushing on at the 10.7 marker. They're coming out of the underwater tunnel.
In with Bill Bruni just chasing down Gorczynski and Megan Stevens. Good to see Megan Stevens here racing. They're currently just sitting on the wheel of a countrywoman who now takes to the
This
front
is an interesting move here.
This is a dangerous move. McCarthy, Guerra, Bruni really squeezing on here with Gorczynski. Tomasi has to answer this.
Well, 4 riders out in front in Category 1. The chase group now 7 seconds back. They are well and truly in sight of the group ahead.
McCarthy on the move. Guerra answering this. This is a big move. The summit of the climb is at 20.7k. We've then got 14.3k to the finish. Kate McCarthy is starting to go clear. Solo 16.8 kilometers covered. 18 seconds is the gap back to Van Rosten. The group are behind and they can see her. And this is where you want to be, to use a very well used phrase, and it's well used for a reason, out of sight and out of mind. She's gone for it. She's in that position. She's gone clear. You've got to kind of run with it now. This is where you're at. You might as well keep on going.
Mary Kate McCarthy coming up with Stefani Piccolo's wheel. And I tell you something, she's going to go straight past Piccolo with 2 kilometers to go. So McCarthy makes the catch to Stefani Piccolo. She's leading the Category 3 race. She's at the head of the race.
The world champion is on such form that she can ride them off her wheel on the climb and stay clear to the finish. Mary Kate McCarthy from New Zealand will be racing, I'm sure, in that World Champions jersey today. She takes victory in qualifier race number 2. Mary Kate McCarthy, your Category 1 and race winner. Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, the world's longest hello. Do you know, it's great to be here. It's fantastic to see so much racing. Seem to have square eyes the amount I've been watching. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of the race action with the one and only Emma Martin, who's across from the studio from me. We're all ready with our snacks and supplies. We've got our Fritz and mayonnaise because for more than one occasion today, for me, we're going to be heading to Belgium.
Well, we are indeed heading to Belgium for the women's race today. 35 kilometres of racing, 324 metres of climbing, and that's what the profile looks like for our women today. They're going to come out of the start pen for a flat 6 kilometres through the Ghent City Sprint, and then it's the Korte Keer, and that first kicker on the Korte Keer over 7%. Before they transition off the Korte Keer through the Tissenhoven-Molen Sprint, up the Valkenburg, down the other side, onto the Eichenberg combination climbs before the 6 kilometre run to the finish line at the 35 kilometre mark.
The Eichenberg combination climb is the critical part of this course, but you have to be in it to win it, as the saying goes, at each and every climb, and that's irrespective of whichever category our riders are in, whether that's Category 1, 2, 3 and 4. Category 4, our first riders away in red. They're down on the start line, all ready to go. None of our riders allocated themselves to teams at the moment. That comes into play when we hit our finals, but 13 nations on the start line this week. It's going to be a busy race. Let's see who is going to head out of the traps at speed. It's time to go racing. First wave of riders away on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club qualifier race number 3 in December. 3 of 4 qualifiers before our final.
There's another one to go. So as the Category 4 women leave the start pen, 32 riders on the start sheets today. And it's Kirchner leading them out here, which is a steady. Look at that. I'm going to say that again. It's a steady pace. So Jacqueline Kirchner leading them out here. A real range of riders today. And Natalia Idzik took the win last week on the Outer Loop course in Australia. Alzat Sonnerson, Lopez and Narvaez rounding out the top 5 in Category 4. And a number of women here today. So Chantilly, Fielder, Nikki Lloyd, who we're in with at the moment, getting stronger and stronger and turning back to some form. Joanna Warren is here as well. Really good to see. It's going to be a really interesting race today, I think, on Belgium for the women. Last time the women were here was Qualifier 2 in November. Funny enough, Natalia Idzik took the win that day as well. So could she be back on form and do the double and take the win this week as well as taking the win last week?
Perfectly possible, but everybody else will know that she is the rider to try and knock off that top spot, because she really goes well on this course. But this is a course, I think, that everybody seems to have a bad point. It's very rare anybody goes through the whole of the race, because we've got so many climbs in succession. And because they are so steep, the average gradients really don't tell the story. And because also they suit so many riders. We've seen Natalia Idzik on here, and a great all-round rider. And I think in some ways that's where you've got to be, with that quarter key being the longest at the first part of the race. But then you go into that quick succession and the Eichenberg combination at the end, which comes very quickly. You've got to be there. You've got to be really aware, really with it, because they are quick, they are short, and you've got to get that power down, because sprinters can climb as well as climbers.
Yeah, absolutely. Today on today's climbs, because they are short, they are sharp. The longest climb today, 3.9 kilometres, and that is the first one, the quarter key. But that's really deceptive, because it climbs and kicks and then it descends before it climbs again. The other climbs, well, 1.4, 1.3, 1.6 kilometres, so much shorter. They are steep, and interesting to see Jessica Hamilton just taking to the front and wanting to push the pace a bit and get this race started. Now, interestingly, yesterday I was having a chat with one of our racers, and apparently they just spent an hour talking tactics for the Sunday Race Club in Belgium in the women's race, and we had a bit of a laugh and a giggle, because I said surely the most important tactic of the day has got to be with the lead group at the top of the quarter key.
Yeah, because you're basically...
Because if you're not, the race is over.
You're eliminated at the first hurdle. You've literally stumbled on that first hurdle. Now, interesting to see here, Jessica Hamilton just stretching her legs out here, and maybe just trying to break up the race a bit.
And that's it, isn't it? And these are interesting tactics, because Hamilton is pushing on. She's going into the Ghent City Sprint, and she is indeed pushing the pace. It was a very steady pace coming out of the start pen, and Hamilton really wanted to get this motoring a little. Now, the Category 4 race start 5 minutes before Category 3, who start 5 minutes before Category 2, who start 5 minutes before Category 1. So the Category 4 riders are the first racers on the road, 15 minutes ahead of the last racers leaving the start pen. And one of the things Hamilton may want is to try and ensure that the Category 4 riders stay clear of the rest of the later starting race fields for as long as possible.
But you can't burn too much energy, and that is also key, isn't it? You've got to make sure that you keep enough in reserve, because this is a 35-kilometre race. At kilometre 0, we have our Category 3 riders. The next wave of riders to go. We have our teams in here. The Gear Goddesses with 5 riders. Geraldo, De Grazia, Van Rossum, Tonkinson and Heibo. We've got the Grind My Gear squad as well. 5 riders on there, despite my very poor colouring in on my start sheets today, which has them as 2 separate teams. They are one team. De Silva, Hadlock, Conan Pickler and Howeiler. They are our teams, 2 teams of 5, and getting that team practicing really critical. The rest of the riders, big race field, 15 nations represented across race Category 3, the second of our waves away. And it's time to go racing in Category 3 in our blue jerseys.
Yeah, the Category 3 riders are out of the start pen and a really strong race field. And this is always a big race field, and we're in with Stefani Piccolo at the moment. For the riders, or for the watchers, should I say, our viewers who have not joined the Sunday Race Club before, it's the rider who is highlighted in blue on the right-hand side. It's their numbers that you're seeing on the top of the screen. So Stefani Piccolo is the rider we are in with, and it's her watts, her heart rate and cadence you can see on the middle top of your screen. We've just switched to Gina Van Rossum. She's in the pack as well. Now, this is a bigger push in Category 3. They're up to nearly 40 kilometers an hour already within the first 300 meters, really wanting to push on. Marshall is here, Van Rossum, Altamirano, De Silva. Now, it was indeed Kim Bonilla, the rider from the Philippines, who took the win last week. Vasquez was there, Altamirano, Van Rossum had a strong finish as well. And this course, I think this is going to suit a number of people here. Jean Van Rossum is on our screen at the moment. But back in November, it was Hyde, Montoya, Hadlock, Simkin and Vasquez. 4 seconds separated the top 10 in Category 3.
And this is a race where you've got to be there all the way through. And I think that suits Gina Van Rossum quite a lot, doesn't it? Because we've seen her go for sprints before. We've seen her race really strongly on the climbs. And I think she's somebody who really races attentively, doesn't let gaps go, makes sure she's positioned correctly, and doesn't waste energy. And that really, for me, is critical on this course. You've got the long run in. That doesn't let you burn energy. But sprints, not a surprise.
Well, Van Rossum was second in the November final. We're on the Paso Alto at that point in time. Angel Hadlock, who's on the screen at the moment, finished 5th that day. Just 10 seconds separating the top 4 in that race. It was close. In fact, the Category 3 women, often the closest race field in the women's field. Or should I say, in the women's race.
In the women's race fields, indeed. And I think we talk about all-round riders, we talk about close racing. Angel Hadlock, one of our regular riders for a long time now, one of our really competitive riders, and another multi-talented rider who can sprint and can race the distance. This course in Belgium, this flat run into the city, Emma, I often think about this really as it's almost that if you haven't had a warm-up, you've got a chance if everybody, I want to say, behaves themselves.
But that's a great way of putting it.
But that doesn't always happen. Some of the riders get up and go, do you know what? I'm just going to go for this. We're just in with Caroline Zikowicz at the moment, a rider who I think has probably experienced both sides of that coin, has ridden this course when the race has gone from the gun, from kilometre zero, but also where it's almost not quite started till we've hit the slopes of the Kortekeer 5K in.
Well, it is true. And this pace has steadied back a little in Category 3. And you can see that because the riders are spread across the road in one nice bunch rather than in a long line. So they seem to be settling down. Zikowicz is there, Wilhelm is there, McLeod is there, so is Marshall, Daniels, Hadlock. Bonilla is there as well. So really interesting to see. They're just settling into the race. They're going through the sprint. As you can see, nobody is pushing on to contest that sprint. They're very happy at this point in the race, 2.1 kilometres in, just to roll through this sprint section together. Now, that is very different to what's happening on the other side of your screen. On the right-hand side, we're back in with Category 4. And Jessica Hamilton has continued to push on. Now, that's interesting. None of the rest of the race field are interested in chasing. They are content to wait until the Kortekeer.
And the Kortekeer is a big climb, irrespective of what race category, whether it's Category 1, 2, 3 or 4. Our Category 2 riders are our next riders away. Then the next riders leave the start pen, but there'll be the third group of riders to hit those slopes of the first of our climbs. Now, in Category 2, all of our riders riding individually, not being part of a team for today for the qualifiers, but remember that it will all change when we come into our finals at the end of the month. A 5-Sunday Race Club month, always great. 16 nations on the start list here in Category 2. in the green jerseys. And remember, of course, the green jersey indicates category 2. A green skin suit indicates the leader in the sprint
Never
competition.
to be confused.
Not much Many Benny and phrases like that. Certainly by me.
Well, in with Asulia Kasani as we head out start pen with category 2 today. Anna Embring, Dorothy Gonzalez, who I tell you, she's been going really well recently. Donna Wagner is here, Anna Embring, Manshandi is here, Nyquist is in the mix as well, the rider from the USA. Camilla Ahlberg is here too, and the pack just moving steady and coming together out of the pen. This is a steady start from here. Sarah Lundin is in the mix as well. And it's really interesting how this race progresses in Belgium with the steadier starts. And then, well, the fireworks start when we hit that 6 kilometre marker on the Quarter Kia.
I think for me, one of the really key things here, get out from the start pen, make sure you sit in that bunch. Don't expend too much energy. Don't dive into those sprint reserves, those big climbing reserves. But also make sure that when you are on the way through here, you still pay attention, because if the pace does pick up and you are near to the back, it is very easy to get distance and then have to chase back on again. And it only takes one rider just deciding, you know what, let's just mix it up a little bit and it will go. For me, though, I think the further up the race categories we go, the more the riders sit there and wait and think, do you know what? I know we've got 4 massive selection points, and you could almost argue 5 with the Quarter Kia being a double climb. It's basically one climb almost to the summit, drop back down again, then actually climb to the summit itself. So although they're not 2 full climbs at the front, it's close. I think for me, being smart, riding smart is key.
Well, Giovanni is on our screen at the moment. She's a smart rider. 3rd place last week. But this category, can I just tell you, Gabriella Nordin has been really returning to form in category 2. She's taken both wins in the 2 qualifiers so far this month. Qualifier 1 in California, qualifier 2 in Australia on the outer loop. Can she do it in Europe, around the world? Interestingly, the only other rider in the same position is Kate McCarthy. She's also taken the first qualifier and the second qualifier win, but in category 1. In category 3 and category 4, 2 different riders over the 2 qualifiers hitting the top spot. So can Emily Nyquist break Nordin's dominance, I think is the word I'm looking for, on that top spot today?
We will find out. One rider who you can never discount, Emily Nyquist, in here from the United States of America. Great to see. And I don't know if anybody's been watching. It is not only esports season, it's cyclocross season, one of my great passions. I've got to say.
The national champs.
It's been the national championship. Some of the riders and the teams that we supported for a long time out there have been putting in some fantastic stuff. But my goodness, if you want to see a sprint finish, have a little look at the sprint finish. We're not going to see one quite as dramatic, I think, today, because hopefully all of our riders will stay on their bikes, unlike the cyclocross champs, where a title was decided by the judges after both riders hit the deck. I'm sure Joanna Zimmerman and all the rest of category 2, they're going to stay upright on the bike.
No one's going to hit the deck today here.
Definitely not. Now, Zimmerman, a rider who I think today, she's been getting better and better on the Sunday race club, definitely been getting used to how the racing rides. And interesting to see, at the moment, looking pretty comfy as we come through the city here.
Yeah, and category 2 coming through the sprint section, the Ghent City Sprint, in exactly the same way as category 3 did. Altogether, Vittori, Jaramillo, Nyquist, Beltran, all in the mix. Kasani, Nordin, Embring, Haag, all there too. So is Julia Walkenhurst. Do you know, it's always a tight race in category 2. I do love the category 2 women. In Belgium, 3 seconds separated the top 7 in November.
Oh, so close. And yet, it's such a tough course. great racing. You've got to be there. Will Bruni be there? Bruni, holder of the Valkenburg KOM, sitting and racing as on the race today. Not part of the team, but we do have our team. Double Lock International with Maria Holcroft and Nelly Larson. The Feto Skier, they have 4 riders in the mix. Van Hove, Tomasi, who's great, and Darzel, very good.
First podium last week.
First podium last week. Kolowitz and Bassoni, who you can't discount on the climb. Sweat Sensations with Felt and Fua. The Thundercats, Guerra, Kolczynski and Columbi. The last category of riders away from the start pens. It's Category 1, racing on qualifier race 3 of 4 in December. We're in Belgium. We are going to make our way over our 4 categorized climbs through our 2 sprint segments, 35 kilometers, distance 324 meters of vertical elevation.
Well, it is indeed. And welcome back to Catherine Fua, returning to the Sunday Race Club after a week's warm weather training.
I thought it was a holiday.
Well, I think, is there such a thing as a holiday where you take a bike? You might have a day off, but you know.
I have to say, I don't know many cyclists that are capable of actually taking a holiday, take the bike and not ride the bike, and actually train.
A bit of warm weather training, particularly when you live in some places in Europe where it's very cold. Julia Klein on the bike here in Category 1 as well. Welcome to Julia Klein. If I'm not mistaken, this is her first race on the Sunday Race Club, so fabulous to have her in the mix as well. Guerra, Kolczynski, McCarthy, Bruni and Tomasi were the 5 riders who took those positions at the top of the podium last week on the outer loop in Australia. That was a cracking race. And McCarthy and Guerra, I tell you, have absolutely been nailing it. And when it gets to the sharp end of the race where the break starts to go, those two have been battling. McCarthy,
I wonder what happened then.
I was just thinking, McCarthy has been winning those battles, but I think at some point, you know, the mantle will change and the baton will be handed over because, you know, McCarthy's form has held really well since those World Championship finals. At some point, the form is going to drop and somebody else's is going to rise because that is just the natural way of bike racing.
It is. And I think the other thing is that we've got to remember that you cannot not just be on form every week of the year, but just the fatigue, the mental focus to hold strong week after week after week. I mean, one rider, Cornelia Engstrom is one of those riders.
Yep, she was on that final.
In the finals, week after week after week, Cornelia Engstrom performs absolutely brilliantly and fantastic to see already out the saddle, making sure that she's getting the power down here. The rest of the groups have had a steady start. I wouldn't describe this as quite a steady. You can see that by it's strung out.
And you can see that on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. You've got Cornelia Engstrom, but on the bottom left-hand now, you can see exactly what is happening to this race. And it's very different the start to the Category 2 and the Category 3 starts because it is starting to split and the stretch is on the group. So we talked earlier about the groups being wide across the road because the pace was consistent and the pace wasn't high at the front. Here it's different. This is a longer stretch on the group and you can see that because Megan Stevens is the rider on the front here and she's really pushing on at the moment. 4.6, 4.4 watts per kilo. Johanna Tidholm, Julia Klein, all covering the move. So's Roberta Bassoni.
Now, Tidholm last weekend was racing and did a double weekend. So in last weekend's racing, she was absolutely superb. She emptied the tank in the Echelon Racing League
on the Saturday.
On the Saturday, and then you could. I think it had dulled that sharp fighting edge, that cutting edge that we normally expect week in week out from Johanna Tidholm. But this week, you don't have that. You don't have the Echelon Racing Week this week. It's back next week, next Saturday for stage 2.
You can still register.
You can still register for that. Interesting to see how Tidholm goes. Now, looking at the sprint, a real close run through. They're climbing of the Beast Mode powered by a Rosa team here going through with a time of 24 seconds. Deb Basonica Kolowitz, Tomasi Fua, Stevens Van Shore, Dijhoven, Engstrom and Bruni going through. But the riders although they're not contesting this sprint, they are moving pretty quick. They have dropped riders, and I think when you're in category 1 and 2, you don't get many chances to leave people behind. If you get the chance, you need to take it. Even if you don't make it happen, you still made them work. And because as you go to the top, I mean, this is a tight course. I mean, the times that you've given us, Emma, tell us that in the sprint, how close it is at the end. But this is, when you get to category 1, the differences are so minimal between the riders' times. It is quite crazy. Now, category 1, they're leaving the start. They're making their way into town, and they're currently at 3.3k. However, coming up to the summit of the first of our climbs, it is the Cortiquer. Now, this is a 9-minute 36 course record, climb record in category 4 previously. High taking that record at 9:36. Will it be beaten today? We'll have to see. At the moment, is it Vic Alzit,
Wow.
good old Warren Francis in here, Ferron just being distance, but it's still a pretty big group here. There are 1s and 2s dropped, not huge
I tell you,
numbers.
Ferron's going to have to close the gap there because she's going to get dropped here as they go over the top. It's fairly flat as you go over the top of the Cortiquer before it really starts the descent. So Ferron may be able to squeeze on, but she's going to have to pick the pace up to do that. Ella Vink, Alzat Francis, Goodall, Warren, Idzik are all in that leading group. So 6 riders in the leading group in category 4. 1 rider, Ferron, just off the back. And you know what? She's come off of the pace. At the moment, she really obviously needs a recovery. Take a look at her heart rate. It's sat at 190, but now it starts to drop. She's going to need to close that gap if she wants back on to the leading group, because at the moment, all they're doing is going away.
And it's so difficult, isn't it? If you've pushed to the limit and you don't have anything left going over the top, you can't drive that momentum into the descent. Now, a little bit further down the slopes at 6.5k. Remember, the Cortiquer runs from 6 kilometers to 9.9 kilometers. Category 2 are on the lower slopes. In front of them are the category 3 leaders, category 4 leaders we've just seen going over the top. And this is still a good sized group, but it is stretching. Left-hand side of your screen, you can see that radar view. Each rider represented by a disc. At the moment, it is stretching. Will we see the gaps open up? Will we see the great tarmac in between? The moment in with Asulia Kasani, one of our really regular riders on the Sunday race for a long, long time now, and somebody who knows
Look
this
at her
course
cadence.
well. It's brilliant. I absolutely love somebody with a really fast cadence. 105, tapping that rhythm, using the fitness, not using just pure brute strength, by keeping that rhythm high. And I think that's really important because this is a long climb. I mean, category 2, to give you some idea of reference, category 2, it's the course record here. All the course records on these climbs are actually set by Kelsey J. Van Shaw, who has been absolutely flying on this course before. 7:46, which when you compare that to category 3, 8:36, and a 9:36 for category 4, you can see it's a minute quicker per category. It's a long effort. You need to use fitness, not just strength, because it's just too long for that.
Well, Giovanni is at the front of this driving train of green jerseys at the moment in category 2. So is Nordin. Really interesting to see. Now, that's an interesting duo. Gonzalez Rua is right up the front. Another rider who I know and I've been watching. She's on fabulous form at the moment. Sarah Lundin, Camilla Olberg, Jill Pruitt in the mix as well. So the front of this category 2 race really starting to use these higher slopes, steeper slopes on the Cortiquer to try and stretch the group. While talking about stretching the group, it's Holly Bergin on the front of the category 3 group as they come underneath the polka dot banner. She's with Angel Hadlock, Stefani Piccolo, Ulta Marino, Daniels. Now, I think every single one of those, Van Rossum as well, and Vasquez and Montoya, they have all had top 3s in the category 3 race. That's a class leading group.
It is. It's currently on form. It's a class leading group. Holly Bergin there, sprinting away over the top there, really flying up that climb. Interestingly, in category 3, Bergen actually holds the fastest time up the Eichenberg Hill. I wonder whether she's added the fastest time up the Cortakia and beaten that time of
Ooh.
Herrera, because that was a determined push by Bergen. That what I think there was a little bit of making sure that she stretched her legs and got that potentially got that climb up there. Now,
well, I think there was also some smart riding, because her average watts per kilo up the Cortakia 3.8, Hadlock in second place 4.1, which tells me Bergen did the smarter ride, and potentially at the lower slopes or on the descent really utilised the draft and recovered better and quicker. You do not need to have the highest power or the highest watts per kilo to be the fastest rider. Technique and strategy and riding with your head, also really important.
Definitely important. One rider who should know exactly how to ride with their head is a World Tour rider who's ridden the Tour of Italy, the Giro d'Onna. That is Francesca Tomasi. Tomasi of Italy on the climb. Now, she is in good company here, because Columbia is with the Columbia holding one of the course records for the climbs on here. Kulczynski, Bruni, Columbia, and Guerra all holding the times across the 4 climbs today. The fastest climb up here put in by Kristen Kulczynski. She holds the fastest time up here with a 7:02. So category 1, fastest time, 7 minutes over 9.5 minutes. Category 4. It gives you an idea of the spread.
Relativity.
The relativity. That's a big, long word for first thing in the morning and only about 5-6
only
coffees.
first thing in the morning in the UK. Well, actually,
It's even more first thing in the morning for Kulczynski.
Well, that's true,
middle
actually.
of the night.
And Megan Stevens, if you are based in the USA, it is really, really dark. I think it's the middle of the night, not first thing in the morning. But Guerra is in the mix here. Kulczynski is in the mix. Menendez is in the mix. In fact, there is Gabby Guerra. You can see her look of concentration on her face as she's on the climb at the moment. And it really needs to be, because the Cortakia absolutely crucial on this course in Belgium. It's the first climb, it's the longest climb, it's some of the steepest climbing. And it really is, where the race moves are decided, because very, very rarely does anybody come back.
Indeed, and I think that's the key thing here. It's so hard to get back on. Now, we talk regularly in racing on the Sunday Race Club about having to push over the top and gaining momentum. Now, the further into this race route, the more important that is. And that is the one thing that really, really shows here. Because when you climb on here, on the Cortakia, you've got a long way to get back in, and some of our riders are going to need it.
Well, they are indeed, because the push is now on the front from McCarthy and Fua. Great to see Catherine Fua really back in the mix. Guerra closing the gap down, because she knows exactly what danger letting Fua and McCarthy go is. Jacinia Menendez, great to have her back on the Sunday Race Club. She drops in, she drops out, she drops in, she drops out. It's brilliant to have her back. She's a class rider. Bruni, Kulczynski, Columbia now 5 seconds back because of the pace being put on the front by McCarthy, but glued to her wheel is indeed Catherine Fua.
So for back on form with McCarthy, will she be able to hold the world champion? You've got the 3 medalists right at the front of this race in Guerra and McCarthy from those world championships, the first in-person championships live from Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi, of course, hosting the Urban World Championships as well. The teams and the crews all heading out. Spoke to somebody this morning at silly o'clock who was waiting in the airport to go to Abu Dhabi and to meet up with the team there. Such a fantastic place to ride your bike, whether you are riding on the esports championships, you're doing some flatland BMX, and you're on the trials bike, or you're out on your road bike, whatever you're going to do, then don't forget, get yourself out there now. Celine Columbia here, very aware, I think, of how hard she needs to push.
She's a little bit in no man's land at the moment.
She is, but I think Columbia knows if she's not on the wheel, what limit, what gap can she close, and when to push to close the gap down. This is a 2-stage climb. Part 1 is complete. We get to the top of the climb proper at 9.9k. Push too hard here, they're in sight. The key place for me to push is actually onto the descent before the riders in front hit that climb. But Columbia's coming.
She is indeed, actually. She is closing the gap and she is pushing. The front group have backed off a little bit here on the descent to take some recovery. Now, one of the things that is interesting on the bottom left hand corner of your screen, you can see what's happened to the Category 1 race. And whilst it has split, it's split into small groups. So there's the leading group, there is then indeed Columbia. Now there's this group of 4 chasing. There's another group of 4, what look like 3 or 4 a little bit further back. And then again, so it's looking like we've got lots of little groups on the road. This one at the moment, Bassoni, Tomasi, Van Scoor, and Filensky. Now, Bridget Filensky, I tell you, great rider, came into the Sunday Race Club, dropped into Category 2, did not stay there very long because she very, very soon came to the fore and showed her class once she'd got an understanding of the Sunday Race Club and racing on the platform.
Yep, and that is so key when you are separated by such fine differences, by quite literally which fraction of a second you apply the pressure, where you push, where the momentum can be gained, or how those dynamics are. It's going to be critical. Columbia here, really experienced, making away, just about going to make contact with the back of the group as McCarthy goes from the back of the group to the front. That was a deliberate attack there. She went from the very back, kicked away into that climb, timing it to perfection, but the rest of the riders were watching. They knew that they were going to see McCarthy on the move. McCarthy kicking. Guerra responds, sits on the wheel. They are the riders in 1 and 2 on the course. At the moment, Fua is leading the chasing group behind. We can't call it a pack. It's been brought down to a group already. This is the run for the summit. How many riders will go clear in that leading group? I'll tell you something, even if this group goes together, there's going to be some very sore legs after responding to the attack by McCarthy.
Oh, there is indeed. But the push going on at the front, it's not long left on the climb until they see the top of the banner. Can Fua dig? Can Guerra dig? Menendez and Kulczynski are not that far back. This is going to be a really big push and a deep dig as Guerra comes up onto the side of Fua, just backing off a little, sitting on Fua's wheel. McCarthy, I don't think is going to get such a huge gap at the moment because the top of the climb is coming.
And if I was Catherine Fur at this stage, I think, or Gabby Guerra, I would be waiting for Menendez and Kulczynski and thinking, right, we've got a long way to go. 4 riders versus 1, versus it might be the world champion, but that is still going to be there now. The course record up here was a 7:02. Period. Kristen Kulczynski held that on this climb. Will it be broken? Going to have to wait to find out until the riders have got through and over the top. We're keeping our eye on this action at the moment as we see Columbia chasing. She's got 8 seconds to make back on to Kulczynski and Bruni, but that is going to be a big ask for one rider chasing a group of riders who themselves are chasing the race leader. Very difficult to do behind. Look at it. It is yellow dot to dot behind. It is split over, and that on your screen shows why it's happened. 7 minutes, 0.06 of a second. New course record set. Couple of seconds taken off the time.
Yeah, but take a look at the fastest times behind. So McCarthy in 1 with that 7-minute time. Menendez then setting the second fastest time with Guerra, Fua, Kulczynski, Bruni, Columbia, Tomasi, Bassoni and Filensky. But Merle Bruni 7 seconds back off McCarthy. I think this is going to be interesting because just 7 seconds separating those top 6 riders on the Quarter Kia. We could see that entire group coming together.
I think will. I'm going to say will. Just because I think the riders on the descent are not going to push too hard. They know how explosive they need to be to stay with McCarthy when she kicks, as she did there, and they managed to do that. That's Category 1. Let's go across to Category 4. Joanna Warren at the moment, 18.1k in, which means that the next banner, just around the corner, is the polka dot banner of the climb of the Valkenburg. Category 4, course record up here, 3 minutes, 15 seconds.
Well, let's just remember back at the start of the race today in Category 4, Jessica Hamilton drove the pace and rode away from the group. And she'd established about a 13-second gap, but the group were not panicking. They knew what was going to happen when they went into the Quarter Kia. They've been through the Quarter Kia. They're now at the 18.4 kilometre mark. They're on the Valkenburg climb. 2 riders at the front of the group, Vink and Warren.
Well, Yes.
They've come back together,
Sorry.
and Kolchinsky's gone over the top.
It's. I'm just looking to see, have they all come back together?
Yes.
Has Celine Colombi got back on the wheel? That I don't think she
No.
has.
So I think we've
So
got
looking at
6
that,
riders.
6 riders in the lead. Colombi is
Just
indeed
off.
it's 8 seconds still, so she's still managing to hold them at the moment, and it's going to start leveling off pretty soon. We've got a long roll, we've got another dip, and then we've got the roll through the Thistlehoven-Molen sprint, and that is the sprint marker point down there. They're picking up Category 2 riders as well. Carolina Alze, interestingly, jumping into the group, trying to stay with them as long as possible. Really smart move that, and knowing where to get assistance as riders come through. Really, really important. Sorry, Emma. Going back to
Sorry, Emma.
yeah, well, you kind of dropped nicely in, and I was busy trying to wind my chin back off the floor at Kolchinsky, going over the top, stretching the group back out again. But sometimes that's a really good tactic. It does mean that if you've got a little bit left, if maybe you didn't expend everything on climb 1, and then you've got a bit over the top, everybody else who's gone into the red zone, you can actually test them out by pushing after the climb and into the descent and just see what that response is, because that it's almost like a call and response. It's always like, I'm going to give you a little bit of a poke and see what the response is.
Well, and it's interesting, isn't it? Now, Kolchinsky took the win in the May final. She took the win in Qualifier 3 in June. She took a win in July on the Paso Alto. So earlier this year, her form on the Sunday race club was phenomenal. I know she's been hill climbing over the summer months in the States outside. Great to see her really in the mix. She's been in the top 10. She had a 5th place last week. She had a 5th place the week before. She had a 4th place in the November final. My question is, can she make the top 3 today? But Guerra, McCarthy, Menendez, Bruni and Fua are going to have something to say about that. But this is the Thistlehoven-Molen sprint. And it is indeed those yellow Category 1 jerseys right at the fore of the race. The leading group of 6, Holly Bergin and Gemma Daniels in Category 3, 7th and 8th position, just 2.5 seconds back. Then Colombi, and then the Category 3 rider, Gina Van Rossum.
And I'm going to be really interested to see what those times are as they go through. Interesting, 2 seconds slower through that short, snappy sprint section, that window for Colombi down there. In the Category 3 race, Bergen and Daniels, well, they held the Valkenburg and the Eichenberg Hill Climb coming into today's race. Their times on there. So it's going to be really interesting to see them because they're up there. They're moving fast now. All 4 groups on your screen. Category 1, top left corner of your screen. Category 2, top right-hand side. Bottom left-hand side is Category 3. And Category 4 on the bottom right. So you can see we've got all 4 sets of riders at the moment. Category 3 leaders, they are on the Valkenburg. The leaders in Category 4, well, they are between the sides of the lake, just making the way over the top of the Valkenburg. And the distance at the top of the climb diminishes the further into this race route we go. So you've got more chance to get on the Kortekeer. You've got more time to get on there than the Valkenburg. The Valkenburg has more time than the Eichenberg Hill, and the Eichenberg Climb, well, you haven't got any time to get on because the moment you go over the top, you're going back down again. Well, all riders out and racing. We've got all 4 categories out on the course here in Belgium. They're all racing to qualify for the finals. They're all racing for prize money as well. Let's give you a reminder of just what our riders are racing for in all 4 categories. Now, on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, the prize money is the same in the men's and women's races across all of the categories. Category 4 in the qualifiers, so that's the right-hand side of your screen. You can see the top prize, 2,160 AED, the currency of the UAE, the United Arab Emirates. The team competition only comes into play on our finals. So that is right at the end of each and every month. And you can see the team competition prize for the teams of 3 to 5 riders, 10,800 AED. Category 4 is our standard category. When we move up categories to category 3. We move up in prize money. Top prize today, 3,600 AED, running right down to 5th place, 720 AED. The team competition, 18,000 AED at the end of the month. Big prizes in category 3. That's step up from category 4. So 4 to 3, we move up in prizes. 3 to 2, we do exactly the same. We move up to 6,000 AED for the win in the individual competition. Each and every one of our qualifiers, and it doesn't change when we've got 4 qualifiers as we have in December, whether we've got 3 qualifiers, which is what we'll have in January, he says, without looking at the calendar. The team competition is also 30,000 AED for the win at the end of the month. And you still get the individual classification as well. Top of the tree, though, category 1, our fastest riders have the biggest prize fund. 2,000 AED for 5th today, 4,000 AED for 4th, 6,000 AED for 3rd, 8,000 AED for 2nd, and 10,000 AED for 1st place. Today, the team competition from 5,000 right up to a whopping 50,000 AED for the team win. At the end of the month in December, a monstrously huge prize fund wherever you are in the world. If you're going to the World Championship, the Urban World Championships in Abu Dhabi, I've been lucky enough to be on the mic down there for that, for the UCI. The UCI World Championships are down there too in about 3 months. It's definitely going to be a fantastic place to spend your AED, but do you know what? You might not be there, so it's time for Emma's Exchange.
Well, today we're going around the world in dollars.
Okay.
So 10,000 AED USA dollars, 2,722. Singapore dollars, 3,673. Canadian dollars, 3,876. New Zealand dollars, 4,725. All equivalent to 10,000 AED, which is what first place today in the category 1 race will take.
All right, now that Emma's put her heart back into her pocket instead of anywhere else, because you should have seen the jump out of her skin when the Emma's Exchange flew up on the screen. Thank you very much, Emma, for telling us what it is around the world. And don't forget that Emma's Exchange is totally unofficial. You can't exchange your 10,000 AED with Emma. And I have to say that there are other exchanges are available. And to be honest, if you got it in AED, the best way to spend it would be having a trip to a World Championship to watch the World Championships, because, of course, we have got plenty of action coming up. Now, let's drop into our Sunday Race Club action. Gemma Daniels chasing Bergin, Piccolo behind. Hybor and Elton Marino and Vasquez are not out of this either. 20.9K. Bergin is on a bit of a mission here. The Queen of Yorkshire is on her way. Will she be able to turn the Yorkshire climbing abilities? It may not be the climb of MC Moore. On the descent of MC Moore, one of my fastest times downhill ever.
Wow.
Down there. Holly Bergen nearly equaling that 70 miles an hour I did on a bike down there.
Well, she is indeed, and she's riding off the front of this Category 1 race at the moment, and she just comes off the pace to drop her heart rate, drops into that super tuck position. Gemma Daniels is going to come up onto her wheel, and I think the group behind will close as well. It's just 4 seconds being led by Hadlock with Barragan, and I think that group are going to come back together again, but at the moment, Bergin jumps onto Daniels' wheel as they come to the bottom of the descent of the Valkenberg. They're going to move now through to the Eichenberg double. That's the Eichenberg hill at 1.4 kilometers in length, an average gradient of 4.3. That comes at 24.2 kilometers into the race, and it transitions straight off the descent into the Eichenberg climb, 1.6 kilometers in length, 4.7% average gradient. And then from the top of that combination double, it's a 6K run, or ride, should I say, to the finish line.
And it is a tricky finish.
It is.
On the course in Belgium. on our women's races. They've got to be very, very switched on as to where that finish line is in all of our race categories. Now, we've seen category 3. They're on the other side of the Eichenberg climb, heading up the Eichenberg climb at the moment, and only a few hundred meters from the summit, but they're going to be a critical few hundred meters. The category 2 leading group are here. It's going to be really interesting to see as they come over the top of the Valkenburg climb, how many riders are in this group. I love the quantitative nature of Emma's answer. A lot. That's my kind of answer, is that. Don't steal my lines. Blimey. That's a lot of riders. I'm going to guess at about 9 riders.
Well, there's 9 in that group, and then there's a couple just seconds off the back.
I'll take that as a good guess then. So, coming up to the climb, our category 2 leaders chasing category 3 and 4 leaders. They're coming to the top of the climbers, in through underneath the banner go the category 1 leading group, and the leading group have got Columbia in the mix as well. 6 have become 7. For how long, we're going to have to find out.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because 6 may have become 7, but the pace has gone on the front of the category 1 pack as they've gone into the Valkenburg. Last used in the Tour of Flanders in 1996. It's a classic that hasn't been used for a long time, and it's being used here right now, today, on the Sunday Race Club. Guerra, Bruni, Fua, McCarthy, Menezes and Columbia. 19 seconds back to the chase group of Tomasi and Filensky. There are others in that group as well, but they're not going to see the coattails of this group because Kolczynski is at the front and she is pushing on today.
This is the shortest climb time-wise of all of the climbs today on the Valkenburg, with the longest is at the Corte Kia. The second longest is our last climb, the Eichenberg climb. We've then got the Eichenberg here, but the shortest is the Valkenburg, 2:28, 2.5 minutes of absolute screaming pain for our category 1 riders, and Columbia here, just when that pace hits, when the gradient comes in, just fighting to stay with them.
Well, a little shout out to Rebecca Johnson today, the category 3 rider. This leading pack have just gone past, returning to the Sunday Race Club after having been unwell. And I always think, you need to give yourself some leeway. You need to be kind to yourself when you are returning to racing from illness, and you do need to respect your body.
And there's lots of great racing to watch. I mean, we've got the Echelon racing coming on this Saturday. We've got the Sunday Race Club each and every Sunday with myself, Matt Payne, and Emma Martin. Don't forget, of course, there's lots of great racing on MyWhoosh, and there's lots of great podcasts out there as well. The Virtual Velo podcast covering all sorts of things. With Emma on the mic, you've got the Inside the Ride, James from OTR on the latest episode. And a quick shout out, if you are going to ride the Tour de Monde, you need to register your team. Big important thing. I know Emma is going to ride, and we might get to that in this race, but we will see. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We will see how our category 1 riders get on in that. That's going to be coming up in January, but make sure you jump on board, subscribe, like, and follow the MyWhoosh YouTube channel. Make sure you follow MyWhoosh on social media, and that is MyWhoosh, at MyWhoosh on Facebook and Instagram, and at @my_whoosh on Instagram. We want you to be watching the racing. Kristen Kolczynski leading them up over the top there. I can't wait to see what the time is for our lead. Oh, look at that, as if by magic.
Well, Kolczynski comes up fastest time on the Valkenburg today, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, 0.915. Guerra in 2, McCarthy in 3, Fua in 4, Bruni and Menezes rounding out the top 6. Giovanni 8 seconds back, Gonzalez, Rua and Vittori. Fast times actually for those category 2 riders. Celine Columbia 9 seconds back. She's dropped off the group by 9 seconds on that climb. But Kolczynski is really pushing on over the top. As I say that, she just backs off.
Yeah, the timing is everything. And the chase is on behind. 11 seconds to make up for Francesca Tomasi. Behind her, Bassoni's a further 10 seconds back, her countrywoman. So Tomasi at the moment, the rider needing to make up the ground. It's 10 seconds to Columbia. It's going to be a lot further up the road, I think, to our leaders who really have opened up the gap. The wedge that was inserted at the base of the climb has been extended and pushed in, and it is broken broken clear that lead group from the two chasers behind. Tomasi going over the top of the climb in 7th place. Sophie Giovanni leading over category 2 with Dorothy Gonzalez-Ruhr very close. So Tenders, then Vittori, Cassani, London, Wagner, Jara Miller and Nordin. The time of Giovanni within a fraction of a second of the course record, I think just outside it. But that was my very rough maths calculating to thousandths of a second, which anyone who's listened to the show will know maths is not necessarily my strong point.
Well, can I just say, Francesca Tomasi, fantastic ride on the Valkenburg. She was with Pisoni and Dijhoven. She was with that group. She's pushed on the climb and she's gained 14 seconds on them. She's now closing down on Celine Columbi, 9 seconds up the road, who was with the leading group as they went into the Valkenburg and has dropped back. Now, if Columbi and Tomasi can get together, that could be a good group and they could indeed work together. So really good to see the work that Francesca Tomasi is doing and the fact that she's really not scared at all after having been on the Sunday race club for such a short period of time to really push on and really try and work how to get on the podium week in, week out.
Great riding by Tomasi. We're in with Norris, who's doing a great ride here, sitting inside the top 10 in category 4. Behind her, you can see the category 3 leading group chasing. Category 4 race at the moment, just to give you a quick heads up, the leaders are already over the top of the climb. That's Joanna Warren and Ella Vink. They are our leading duo, who are clear at the front of the race by some margin at the moment. Then we've got the riders scattered behind. Norris, well, she's going to see the riders coming. Angelica Altamarino leading the charge here with Bergin, Hadlock, Piccolo, Montoya and Co. all working the way around and coming up on to the shoulder here and over the top. A few riders just in the danger zone, just getting distanced a little bit here. The chase is critical. Bergin tucked onto the front, goes over the top. Underneath that banner first, the competitive spirit coming out again there, really making sure she's pushing. Can she translate the aggression she's showing into a victory on the Sunday Race Club today? We will have to wait to find out. Remember, we've got to go over the Eichenberg climb as well.
Can I just tell you, there are 12 riders potentially still in contention in the Category 3 race. So the leading group of 7, then fractions of a second back, a chase group of 3, and then 2 riders further back to Silva and Barragan. But they are not out of it yet, I tell you.
It is so close in all of our race countries. This course doesn't disappoint. With these very sharp, short climbs. And the gap between the climbs comes down the further into the race we go. The type of transition at the top of the climbs also comes down. The next riders onto our climb top, well, they are further back in the pack because leading at the moment, Joanna Warren and Ella Vink on the right-hand side of your screen. They are the only riders now left clear of the Category 3 chase pack who are behind, but the Category 3 chase pack have got Category 4 chasers mixed in. That's a big mass on the left-hand side of your screen. So we've got a mass, we've got a multicolour red and blue pack chasing 2 riders in front, but the 2 riders in front, they're already well into the climb. Our final climb is the Eichenberg climb, the summit of the climb at 29k, and as Emma has already said, the 6k run to the finish. It can be a long way if you've got a big pack coming after you.
Back with pack after pack.
There is indeed Category 2. Well, at the moment, it is not broken up, and this is a big group here. Giovanni Gonzalez-Ruhr, Alberg on a good ride here with Nordin and London, the Swedish contingent ahead of the Colombian Jara Miller there. But we've got Dana Wagner in here, fresh from a trip to Cabras. The Cabras race being cancelled in the cyclocross. So be interesting to see what form that Dana Wagner's got. I think she's going really well. I mean, she took a world title in the Masters competition and is riding strongly here. She's in with this leading group. Dana Wagner, absolutely class on her bike, indoors and out.
Yep, absolutely correct, that map. But London Norden, Alberg, Yaramillo. This is a great group. 9 riders in the leading group in the Category 2 race. Embring just being dropped. Maria Marb looks like she might be dropped shortly. She's 2 seconds back. She's pushing really strongly. She is a strong rider, but the repeated efforts on these climbs today, the short, sharp climbs in Belgium, very, very different to something like the Passo Alto where we were for the November final, a much longer, steadier climb. So Maria Marb now needing to push on to close the gap down to the leading group and stay in that leading group as they come towards the top of the Eichenberg Hill, coming in to the bottom of the climb. It's the leading group in Category 1.
Category 1 riders coming into this climb. The Eichenberg Hill, 2 minutes 40 course record on this climb, set by Celine Colombi. 2 minutes 40. Will it be broken? We've seen one of those climb records broken. That's in the first climb of Cortekia, with McCarthy going a couple of seconds faster than Kolchitz's course record. But McCarthy is on the move again, kicking at 8.8 watts per kilo. This is a stretch out. And how fast does the response come? It's not coming quick enough, I don't think, here. Guerra is moving, so is Bruni, so is Kolchitzki. Fua is just starting to lift the pace. McCarthy got a jump on them again. Gotta say, Mary Kate McCarthy has to be one of the most aggressive and combative riders in any peloton anywhere.
She's got a phenomenal punch. You know, she's got a
Brilliant.
really strong punch and she can kick and really go. And then she settles down at a good, strong place. But McCarthy at the moment is just a 4-second gap. Kolchinsky, Guerra, Menendez, Bruni and Fua. Now, this group need to work together. That is how they may well beat McCarthy, because they've got the Eichenberg Hill and the Eichenberg Climb. Then they've got 6 kilometres to the finish line. This group need to be a team. They need to work together to beat McCarthy if they want to beat McCarthy. But McCarthy's put 6 seconds on to them at the moment. The gradient is about to come off slightly as they head towards the top of the climb. But Kolchinsky, Bruni, Guerra, Menendez and Fua are just one lump together. I tell you who is coming and coming strongly at the back. And that's Celine Colombi. She's brought the gap down to 6 seconds.
Amazing riding.
Brilliant riding by Colombi.
She's a class climber. And I think I would love to see her race in Belgium, outdoors as well as in, because I think these short, sharp climbs just suit her so well. She makes back gaps. She pulls back distance. And, I mean, it works so well on this sort of parkour. This sort of terrain.
You know, she's a great racer outdoors as well, and some long distance endurance outdoors. But you know, Colombi doing a phenomenal ride and just showing how that endurance pays off in the latter stages of the race. Now, it is indeed the polka dot banner at the top of the Eichenberg Hill. McCarthy, 14 seconds clear. It's Kolchinsky, Guerra, Menendez, Bruni, who are pushing on. Fua is there as well. So we've got one rider down the road, McCarthy. We've got 5 riders grouping together.
Time after time after time, McCarthy attacks. Time after time, the group respond. This time, they couldn't or chose not to. We're going to have to see which it is. Were they saving that effort for later? But they have given away time. 12 seconds taken on the group on a climb that lasted 2 minutes 32. That is a huge gap to put in. It's a new course record by 8 seconds by McCarthy on the Eichenberg Hill. That is an indication that McCarthy means business, but go too soon, you can be in trouble later.
Well, you can do indeed, particularly when you've got such a strong group chasing you, and a group of five world-class riders trying to chase down the current world champion, Kate McCarthy. But in Category 3, they are up and over the top of the Eichenberg climb. Holly Bergin, Stefani Piccolo, Catherine Montoya, Angelica Altamarino, Manuela Vasquez, Gina Van Rossum are all in the group. So is Gemma Daniels, Larissa Heiberg as well. This is a phenomenal group of women who are at the fore of this Category 3 race. Melissa Simpkin just distance off the back. The silver has made the cut. They are down at the bottom of the Eichenberg climb. Just Ella Vink and Johanna Warren, the two riders leading the Category 4 race ahead of them. They're 20 seconds up the road. This is going to be interesting because I think we're going to see the leaders of the Category 4 race and the leaders of the Category 3 race come together before the finish line.
I wouldn't disagree. I'm just letting that sink in. I actually said I didn't disagree with on the commentary. Okay, if you're enjoying the racing, make sure you subscribe, you like, you follow the YouTube channel for MyWhoosh. Please do make sure you give us a follow. Give Emma a follow. It's at biking_Emma. It's at Matt Fixer Pain. It really does help us. It helps the show, and it helps us bring it to more people. If you love the channel, write a review on there. Put a comment on there, because you know what? Each and every time you do that, every interaction helps us push it up in the searches on those search engines, and we get new riders, more people jumping on board, getting on and riding the bikes, which is what it's all about. Cycling is a really big family. We want that family to extend even further. We want more people jumping on bikes, riding, enjoying getting the benefits of riding on MyWhoosh, and enjoying the race coverage as well, which today has been phenomenal so far. And we are heading in towards our finale, the final few kilometers to be covered by Ella Vink. They're already into their last 4 kilometers. Ella Vink and Johanna Warren on the bottom right hand side of your screen, chasing behind. Maybe going to jinx Emma's prediction. These are Category 3 riders, their bottom left hand side of your screen.
They've
Currently
backed
30
off the
seconds
pace.
off the pace. We've then got Dorothy Gonzalez leading Category 2 to top right hand side of your screen, and that group has been brought back down again. I think this has come down to about 4 riders. That's right hand side at the moment of your screen. Gonzalez Reyes London in that leading group. They've opened a 4-second gap to the chasers. McCarthy has opened 21 seconds at the moment. Now, one thing about Emma's prediction, I will say, that time gap may or may not be indicative because it's based on relative speeds as they came down. We need to double check that they're both groups are on flat ground, the leaders in Category 4 and the leaders in Category 3, to get a representative time gap. And it may well be that is what is making life just a little bit more difficult for predictions. Now, on your screens, the leaders in Category 2 coming up to the top of the climb. They have shed bodies and they have broken this group down. It's Nordin, Gonzalez Rur, London, and Giovanni.
It is indeed. And a 6-second gap now back to the rest of the group. It was 9 riders at the bottom of the climb. It's now 4 at the top, but the gap just 6 seconds, and it is indeed Marb who continues to do the chasing. So Marb is leading the charge behind with Vittori, Wagner, Yaramillo and Ulberg. Can they close down the gap as the leaders go over the top and hit the descent in the Category 2 race? I tell you something, the Category 1 leader is not far behind, because Kate McCarthy is about 300 metres behind them. She's pushed on and she's extended her lead on the Eichenberg climb that she established on the Eichenberg Hill. She's just gone past Nikki Lloyd in the Category 4 race. She is working her way through the race fields that started ahead of that Category 1 race today, as it is indeed Catherine Fua leading the charge in the chase behind Bruni, Menendez, Kolczynski and Guerra. This group all still together.
It's so hard to put down something that challenges McCarthy at the moment. This group, it's got to be so tough being in there. They know that they're chasing the world champion. McCarthy put 10 seconds in on this climb and 12 seconds on the preceding climb. So in the space of what is effectively 3 kilometers of climbing, she put in 22 seconds.
The question is, though, can the group of 5 work together now on the 6-kilometre flat run to the finish? Can Guerra, Fua, Menendez, Bruni and Kolczynski work together and try and close down McCarthy? Or can McCarthy just continue to time trial away?
Or do you let McCarthy go and say, well, do you know what? McCarthy's gone. She's doing what she does. With 5 riders and there's 4 prizes left here. I do not
Oh.
want to take 5 to that finish. I don't want to be in that bum fight. I mean, Vink here is pushing on ahead of Warren. She doesn't want to leave it to chance. She doesn't want that group to come back. If anything, they're opening the gap. They're all on the flat now. And you can see that gap is now at what is basically 45 seconds, but it's the same 30 seconds between Warren and the chasing group behind. Vink is on the move.
But Vink is on the move, and Vink is on the move because she's seen what's happening behind, and she wanted to go clear of Warren and not get caught by the chase group of the leaders of the Category 3 race. But what is happening is, because the leaders of the Category 3 race, because it's such a big group, they're looking at each other. Look at the pace, 1.9, 1.8 watts per kilo in that group. They are on the left-hand side of your screen at the moment. They've got 1.9 kilometers to go to the finish, and they are rolling. They are very, very interested in what each of them are doing. They're interested in the fact that this is now going to be a sprint. There's nowhere to go. Someone may try something, but the likelihood is that Category 3 race is going to be a sprint. And those riders want to reserve as much energy as possible. They want to get their legs feeling a little bit better. And then they want to settle in for what could be a massive push at the finish line.
We will see. We will see. It's not long to go now with these leading groups all on the way. So, Category 4 leader Elevik, 1K to go. We've got 1.5K to go for our Category 3 leading group. We've got basically 200 meters more for the Category 2 leaders. And then we have got our leaders in Category 1, or leader in Kate McCarthy.
We have indeed, and she's coming up towards the 32-kilometer marker. We're going to see these races finish in swift succession, but I think at the moment we are indeed going to see the Category 4 race come over the line first.
We will see. We will see. They're on their way at the moment, or Ella Vink is on her way. She's extended that lead. It's now 36 seconds. Vink is on a push here. She knows this finish is a tricky one to get right. Getting your timing right in the sprint is hard. Vink has not left it to chance. Left-hand side of your screen, the only indication of where the finish is. You've got to have a big screen and good eyesight and lots of pixels on your screen, because it's round the right-hand turn that's coming up. Ella Vink, though, getting this absolutely perfect.
Fabulous riding from Ella Vink. She really, really is coming back into form, and this course suiting her riding style. That punchy style of Vink really coming to the fore today here in Belgium in the Category 4 race. She broke away with Johanna Warren. They rode together for some time, and then in the final 5 kilometres, Ella Vink has broken away for a solo win in the Category 4 race today.
Great ride by Ella Vink to take victory. Comes in ahead of Warren, the rider who is sandwiched between Vink and the group of leaders in Category 3. They can't quite see Joanna Warren in front. This is going to be about who blinks first, who gets the timing right. Warren on the right-hand side, second place in Category 4, pretty much assured. Left-hand side's a lot more difficult to call.
Well, yes, Johanna Warren coming through to take second place today in the Category 4 race. There's 8 or 9 riders lining up behind in the Category 3 race, and the sprint is already opening, and Simpkins is at 10 watts per kilo. Alta Marino's at 13. Who's going to go over the top? This is it. Van Rossum is pushing. Alta Marino's on the front, but Hadlock is coming. Who's going to take this today? I think this could be Angel Hadlock's race, but ultimately Angel Hadlock takes it from Catherine. Well, no, actually, do you know, the computer can't keep up, I tell you. Hadlock takes it from Montoya, Alta Marino in 3, Simkin in 4, De Silva in 5, Van Rossum in 6, Heiberg in 7, Piccolo in 8, Bergin in 9, Vasquez, then Daniels. 11 riders through in that Category 3 race. Wow.
absolutely flying. Brilliant to see. And I think we're going to have a similar situation unfold with our Category 2 leaders on the right-hand side of your screen. Now, they're at 33.6k, so 1,400 meters or so to the finish. We have a group which is a mixed group. It is a group of Category 2 leaders and Category 3 chasers. It's a real mix-up here. And we've got Mary Kate McCarthy, the express train from New Zealand, on the way through at the moment, and blown a lot of people straight off her wheels. Now, she's going to be heading up to the very front of the Category 2 race. We're just taking a little bit of a check. I think it's this group here with Gonzalez Rua that she's just coming up on now. I think the leader in Category 1 has just gone past the leading group in Category 2, and they're fighting to get on the wheel.
They are indeed fighting to get on the wheel because Vittori, Giovanni, Gonzalez Rua, Marb, Wagner, and Nordin, none of them want to be left behind. They're on the run in. There's only 900 meters to go. They know they were going to launch the sprint soon anyway.
This is going to be the run for the line any second. They're going to come around the left-hand turn. You've got that long straight, and then the right-hand bend with the finishing gantry coming, the UCI banner. The UCI, of course, partner for 2024, 25, 26. It is MyWhoosh. It's the Sunday Race Club. It's Qualifier Race 3, Category 1 and 2 race finish coming up.
Well, the question is McCarthy going to sit back and let this Category 2 sprint go? She's down at 3 watts per kilo. I think the answer is yes. Who is going to take it?
Let's see who's going to go here. The riders are on the way towards the finish. Who's going to wind? We're starting to see it pick up. Here we go. There's a kick on the front.
There is indeed. London's at 10 watts per kilo. Norden is coming, but London is leading this out. So Sarah London leads it out. Gonzalez Rua now goes, but I think it's too late. I think Sarah London is going to take the win from Gonzalez Rua, from Norden. Oh, it's great. It is indeed. So London in 1, Gonzalez Rua in 2, Norden in 3, Wagner Vittori as McCarthy comes over the line for the Category 1 win.
So the world champion makes it another win, a clean sweep at the moment in the qualifiers here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Will she be able to do the same all the way through to our finals? Category 1 chasing group, Menezes, Fur, Bruni, Guerra and Kolczynski are on their way. But there are only 5 prizes from the back. A big kick goes over the top.
And Fua launches the attack from the back at 12 watts per kilo. Guerra goes as well. So Catherine Fua, Gabby Guerra are fighting for second place today. Fua comes through. She goes over the top. Does she? Catherine Fua is going to take second place today. Guerra in 3. Menezes in 4. Phenomenal racing. Kolczynski comes through as well. Just waiting for everything to update, but it is McCarthy in 1 today in Category 1. Fua in 2, Guerra in 3, Menezes in 4, and Mel Bruni taking 5th place. Kristen Kolczynski taking 6th.
An absolutely frantic racing. Category 1, 2, 3, and 4. Emma, have we got the results in the lower categories come in yet? Okay, can we do 4 to 1? Can we go that way round for a change? Why not? I'm going to just totally confuse them.
You are indeed. So, okay, so in Category 4 today, Ella Vink took the win from Johanna Warren. Diana Corrales in 3, Natalia Idzik in 4, Hannah Goodall in 5. In Category 3, Hadlock takes the win from Montoya, Alta Marino, Simkin and De Silva. In Category 2, it's Sarah London from Gonzalez Rua, Nordin, Wagner and Vittori. And then in Category 1, Kate McCarthy from Catherine Fua, Gabriela Guerra, Jacinia Menezes and Merle Bruni.
The rest of the top 10 starting to make the way in. Kristen Kolczynski in 6th, Celine Colombi in 7th, Francesca Tomasi in 8th place at the moment. The results are live on mywhoosh.com. Go onto the website, click the menu on the top left-hand side and go to results. They are live. They will be confirmed when everybody's verified with that class leading verification. The women's race has been absolutely amazing, as we expected here in Belgium, in Bruges. An absolutely fantastic race. I'm sure that it set a high bar for the women's cyclocross that's coming from the Citadel in Namur and the World Cup, the UCI World Cup there. I'm going to be on the mic for that. So 2 amazing women's races, I'm sure, in the space of one day, separated by the men's race here on MyWhoosh on the Sunday Race Club. Emma Martin and myself, Matt Payne, will be back on the action for that men's race. Please do make sure you subscribe, like, hit the buttons, hit the follows. You know how it works. And most importantly, jump on board. Download MyWhoosh on iOS, on Android, on Windows, whatever you run your games on. Get on board. Come and join us on the ride. You may even see me out there. It doesn't always take Taddy Pogacar to get me on my bike. In the meantime, time for us to grab coffee, ice cream, honey, or anything else that we can to make our throats work in time. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you for watching. But from Emma, myself, and the amazing team behind the scenes at MyWhoosh, stay safe.
Goodbye.